from his studios in New York. It's time for Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life. Here's your host, Dan Tortora.
Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on wakeupcalldt.com, your one-stop sports shop. Facebook Live, facebook.com/livenowdt, and also on MixLR, our live streaming radio worldwide. You can hear it in Arizona, you can hear it in Spain, you can hear it anywhere on mixlr.com/wakeupcalldt. Live from the Charney's Menswear and Tuxedo Studios, 3150 Erie Boulevard East in Syracuse, New York. We thank you so much for tuning into the show. On the broadcast with us right now from the West Coast, so it be early over there. It's 7 a.m., but this man always gets up for Wake Up Call, and I can't thank him enough. He is not only a former DB for Syracuse, but he is somebody that I'm proud to call a friend, and has been honestly a very good friend to me, and I cannot wait for my wedding invitation. I got to keep laying that foundation that I got to be at that wedding. But Darius Kelly's with us right now. Darius, how we doing?
Great, Dan. How you doing?
Doing well. Now, am I still getting invited? Am I still on that list or no?
Absolutely. You know you're always going to be on the list. It's not going to change. Always got the invite.
All right. Now, when is this supposed to happen?
Oh, still working on the plan right now. Within the next year, for sure. Yeah.
So now tell everybody, I know we talked about it a little bit, but to refresh some Syracuse fans here, how did you propose?
Over game night with the family. We spelled it out on the game, and just right there at home, with the family and hanging out, and it was intimate. But it was exactly how we would want it, with family sitting around on New Year's Eve. So.
Well, now what was the game you were playing?
Wheel of Fortune.
Wheel of Fortune. So bring me into how you spelled this thing out on Wheel of Fortune. Like, is it a board game, or bring me into it?
Yeah, it is. It's a board game.
Okay.
So you're spinning the wheel there, and you're obviously buying vowels, buying letters, and all that stuff. And obviously, as we're going towards the end, she's like looking like confused, like what is this? And as we get towards the end, like it spells it out obviously, but it doesn't really hit her until I stand up, and then I actually get down the knee and do it. So that's kind of how it happened. It was fun. It was enjoyable. The family was all there, and it was great.
Now, what made you pick? I understand being around the family, game night, and all that, and having it, with the people that you love. What made you pick like Wheel of Fortune and to do it that way?
I don't know. It was something different. It's a new game that we wanted to bring to the family, and it was just something different. And that's kind of how it came about. I don't know. No rhyme or reason, just something different, and I thought it was a great way to spell it out, and would be surprising because obviously it's just over a game. So
who does this? Is there like somebody who's the gatekeeper of it that's not playing, that's like creating the puzzle?
Yes, her mother was kind of helping me out a little bit. You spell it out before, and you just pull the tabs, and then a letter comes out from the back, and she was kind of the person that was pulling out the letters and kind of presenting it out as we were going all playing the game.
So pretty amazing here, and now I feel like I have learned that if and when this man gets married again, on the other end of the phone conversation, because the first one didn't take, Darius, but if the man does it again, now I got to step up my game. See, because that's the thing. I'm a hopeless. See, I feel like, and I've told you this before, you and I are very similar comedy, hopeless romantics. There's a lot of positive there. You're a good kid, care about mama. You got, you know what I mean? You have that love for your family, and, you know, for people that have passed on, you stay close. You got a strong faith. You have all those things that matter to you, and I'm right with you on it. So now I feel like I gotta step my game up. I gotta do like Scrabble on top of a horse during a sunset on a beach. So I'm ready.
You got it, man. You got it.
Yeah,
no worries.
So we're speaking here with Darius Kelly. Darius Kelly, former defensive back, and also worked in the special teams unit with the Syracuse Orange football team. He is here with us right now on the broadcast, and we are in our week to kick off officially. We started off the week to kick off with Rob Carpenter. Darius Kelly is today. We have the likes of Eric Kroom and Rob Long and Dan Conley and Will Hunter and so on and so forth coming up this week. Very excited about it. All different time periods that these gentlemen have played in. Rob Conrad will be a part of the show. We just found that out yesterday, so we're excited about that as well as we work hard to get as many players in as we can. So Darius, this team is stepping off of a season where they went 10-3. They went to a bowl game at Camping World in Orlando. It was almost a New Year's one. It was late December after Christmas, December 28th. They got to go down there. They played up against rival West Virginia. They've now beaten West Virginia. Syracuse has 3 times in a row, the last 3 times that they played them. They've defeated them. So we saw that success. We saw what they were able to do during the season, how closely they played a team like Clemson on the road and almost got that victory, and Clemson went on to become the national champion. What did you take away from last year's team and the fact that it's been a very, very, very long time, and the last couple seasons you could add them together and they wouldn't have as many wins as Syracuse had last year? So just what did you take away from last year?
Yeah, just watching them last year, the main thing that I saw was there was no doubt in their mind what they were going to do when they were coming out there. There was no they weren't surprised by any of those to win 10 games at all. And it just seemed that way. There was no there was no over excitement. It was, we were on a mission and we're going to go win these games every time we're stepping out on the field. I mean, even with those late comeback wins, those win the game in the last couple of series, there was just no doubt that what they were going to do every time they stepped on the field, and it was good to see that. Especially the year before last, they beat Clemson, and obviously that year there was probably not too much surprise, but there was not as much confidence as it was this past year, and it was good to see that. Just those guys playing with confidence and knowing exactly what they were going to do every time they stepped on the field. And a lot of those guys are returning this year, and I expect the same.
And to see this team, finally get there, for you to be, an alum of Syracuse's football program and to go through the recent blood, sweat, and tears and whatnot, what does it say to you about what Dino's doing with this team and how he's building this team? Because, obviously when you were at Syracuse, the team was having some success at times, and then, there was obviously those tough roads that happen and whatnot. So what have been kind of your takeaways of how Dino's leading this ship as he steps into his 4th season?
Yeah, I would say he's leading that thing, amazingly. I mean, I even out here, he's an Arizona guy. He's a lot of the U of A guys out here. They know who he is, and they all say great things about how amazing of a person he is, a great coach. And, it's good to see that. I would say he's doing a great job, got these guys believing in everything that he is saying, everything that he is implementing. And, it's just great to see, as an alumni at a school that I've been to, that I watch almost every Saturday and keep up with as much as I can, that they're doing well. And he's obviously, proof's in the wins. I mean, he got some big wins under his belt. His first one, Virginia Tech, and then you knock off Clemson, and then you got Florida State, and then you should have knocked off Clemson last year. I mean, those aren't cakewalk games that he's winning, and they're doing it in a way that's it's fun to watch. They're not just accidentally winning these games. They're going out there and dominating those teams that they beat, those big time, top 10 teams in the country. So it's just great to see.
Speaking here with Syracuse football alum, defensive back Darius Kelly here this morning on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora in our official Week 2 kickoff as we get set for the 2019 season, which, believe it or not, is this Saturday, August 31st at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, with Syracuse traveling to Lynchburg, Virginia to face off against Independent Liberty. Darius, does it shock you? I mean, I know you're a coach right now at Catalina, but does it shock you how quickly football season rolls back around, and the fact that we're literally in this moment just a few days away from Syracuse playing their first game, and we've already seen college football on television? For everybody that kind of misses it and gets sad about it, Super Bowl ends, and then there's no college football and there's no NFL, going on and whatnot. There's that moment where true football fans feel like they are lost, and then you blink and it's the start of the season. Does it just feel like it keeps getting quicker and quicker?
It actually does. I was just talking about that the other day. As a player, it felt like it took forever to come back around, and I would say maybe because I was just going through the grind and working and going and going and going. But now that I'm coaching and going through the everyday life of things, it's it seems like as soon as I put the plan down, I turn around and shoot, we're in game one, week one, and going through everything and preparing for week 2 on our end. But it definitely seems like it's coming around a lot faster. Sports in general, like, it just flies by and it sneaks up on you, especially at the in the state I am in my life and where I'm at. It seems like it's not slowing down for sure.
And and when we look at kind of what's happening here, I want to go back to your history a little bit, and back to, I mean, you were on this team for a few seasons, and you went through, like I said, some of the positives and then also some of the adversity that the team has had in recent history. You were a part of a team that went to the last bowl game before Syracuse went to the Camping World Bowl. In the Texas Bowl against Minnesota, you had 4 solo tackles, 5 tackles overall in that game under Scott Schaefer. Just what you could say about that, because your team was the last team to go to a bowl game before Dungy and the crew did it this past season. So just what that means to you, and you were literally a part of the last time that Syracuse had a winning season before this past season.
Yeah, I mean, that team that year, we, that came off, a bowl game the year before. So the winning tradition, we still had a lot of guys that was there and who understood how to win. And that year we came back, my senior year, we had a younger team and we had a lot of turnover, and we were just trying to find a way to win. And we obviously didn't get it done as much as we wanted to, but that year, that last bowl game, we just had a lot of guys, a lot of veterans who understood how to win the game. We had a good coaching staff, great guys there. But I would say that last year we were there, it was just the guys that were there really, really understood how to win. The year after that and the years after that, it was a lot more turnover. Teams were younger, and just trying to find a way to win. And I think it's finally starting to catch up to where we're at now. 10-win season, and I think it's going to continue to grow. Especially through the recruiting and getting the right guys in the mix and keeping those guys there, and redshirting guys and having older guys on your team once they get through all the years. And it's a good thing to see. But that last year, going back to the bowl game, I was surprised that it took that long to get back to it. But I would say it had a lot to do with the guys that were there from the year before that got the job done and really, honed in and showed us how to win the games. So it was good though, really good.
I mean, you going through that and having that, what did it teach you? I mean, to have a winning season and to be able to go to the bowl game and to win the bowl game, and then after that, the team starts to, slide down a bit to 3-9. And then we see, Schaaf had 4-8 in his last season, and then Babers had 4-8 for 2 seasons after that. So we're seeing a team that's only winning 3 to 4 games a season. And when you add up, you add up just 4. I mean, if you add up the 4 seasons in and of themselves, it's 15 wins over 4 years, and then Syracuse gets 10 last year. So obviously, there's been a change, a little climate change that hopefully will last and continue for this Syracuse team. But just what it taught you to know what it feels like to win, know what it feels like to get to the bowl game and get a victory, and then to go through some of that adversity, what that taught you and how you can maybe impart some knowledge and wisdom on your players of the ups and downs of football.
Yeah, it's just, you can't take winning for granted. Everybody think winning games is easy to do, but it's really not. And when teams are winning, some guys, they take it for granted. Like, oh, okay, we win. And, when that stops, you kind of take it, you look back and like, man, what were we doing to win all those games, and now we're losing. And, you just can't take it for granted. And that's really, what I try to, tell my guys now. You can't take it for granted. Winning is not ever going to be easy. There's a whole lot of work that goes into it. There's a whole lot of planning, a whole lot of things that goes into even the slightest of wins. Winning by 1 point, winning in a 7-6 football game, even blowing out teams, it's not easy to do. So you can easily take winning for granted when you're going to bowl games, you're even winning national championships. But that's the biggest thing. It's tough not to take it for granted, and that's the biggest thing that you can't do from season to season.
So, like you said, not taking winning for granted, and obviously knowing how hard it is to do. Were you shocked last year at what Syracuse had done? And were you was it a pleasant surprise? Was it a shock? How was your reaction to it, to see a team go from 4-8 in the basement of the ACC to being 10-3 and very well could have been 11-2? I mean, there were some things that happened with Syracuse last year. I mean, things just started to click. They came together. There was true freshmen that stepped up in a huge way. Obviously, Dungy stayed healthy and was able to do some good things with that. But, defensively, the secondary has stepped up in such a massive way. The defensive line that had lost a lot over the years was getting stronger again. There was some veterans at linebacker. Was it a pleasant surprise? Was it a shock? How did you respond?
No, I was definitely pleasantly surprised. But watching them the first couple of games and just going through everything, it's like I said, there was no doubt what they were going to do. So being able to see them do that, I wouldn't say extremely surprised, but just watching the way they carry themselves on the field, the way they were going about things, even against teams who weren't as inferior the first couple of games. But it's just watching their approach to those type of games. It just showed how their season was really going to go. Not pulling off the gas, even with their second string guys. And the depth really showed, even against when they had to pull back a little bit. They were still dominating teams and still running the things and doing the things that they wanted to do. And, defensively, I'd say, minus a couple of games there, they were lights out. And I want to say they were probably top in the nation at one point in the season for sure, defensively.
For you to see guys like Andre Cisco and Trill Williams and Chris Frederick and Ifatu Melifonwu and so on and so forth, I mean, what can you say about the secondary? Because you being a former Syracuse DB, obviously, I'm sure you key in on that, those positions and kind of what's going on in the back line of the defense, and just what you could say about that unit, especially the fact that Trill Williams and Andre Cisco were able to come onto this team and make such a splash in the in camp to show Dino and the crew that they should be out there. And then obviously, earning honors throughout the weeks and coming in with a lot of respect this season. Just what you could say about, the secondary Syracuse has in general, especially about some of those young guys.
Yes, looking at Cisco, he's a freshman and ready to get first team All-American, at safety. Just watching him, man, it just shows how much, to me, even since I have been gone from college, how much it has changed, even athletically, and just those guys flying around back there. They're long, they're fast, they're smart. Those guys back there, they're lights out, and it shows just off their production, and really just the coaches. Putting them in the right spots to make plays, but if the coach puts them in the right spot, they still have to make the play, and those guys are just pure playmakers who are extremely smart and just have a knack for the ball. And they're not small guys either. They're not, they have long arms. They're big. They're filled out, and even they're young. And that's the crazy part is watching, even like I said, Cisco, man, he's still a pup, and looks like a grown man out there. So it's good to see.
Yeah, and for you obviously to see that unit grow and blossom and whatnot, and with Trill and Cisco kind of playing off each other and playing so well, and Ifatu Melifonwu doing some good things and whatnot. I look back to your time. Did you have a favorite guy to play alongside? Was there somebody in the secondary that, kind of gave you fuel or you gave them fuel? Did you have that?
Oh, yeah. Look at, Darrell Eskridge. Was always one of the guys that, who was leader in the secondary. Brandon Radish, that corner over there, and even my first year, Keon Lynn, even though he got injured, he was always a guy who was honestly, I'd say if he didn't get injured his last year, he would probably have been drafted top rounds at corner. He was at that time a prototype type of corner. He was, 6'2", long arm, could run. Could come out of a break like no other. Syracuse always had DBs that come. You can go back a couple of years, just watching those guys who just had a knack for the ball and just always coming downhill, making plays. Especially in that Scott Schaefer defense. Even when he was D coordinator and head coach, he had those every year. Shamarko Thomas. The list really goes on when it comes to DBs coming out of Syracuse, and it's nice to see a even younger group there of guys there who I'd say, I'm not afraid to say it, they're a lot better than the guys that I named, for sure, no question. And in a faster pace of game, and a game that now they throw the ball all over the place every single play, and it's nonstop. So I wouldn't hesitate to say that those guys have a lot of talent and would compete. Probably would be competing, trying to take our positions back then, for sure. So no question. Yeah.
Yeah, and to look at what they're doing as they step forward here with Darius Kelly, Syracuse football alum, as we're here in the week to kick off with alum all throughout the week. Rob Carpenter has been with us. You can go back and watch and listen to that. Darius Kelly is with us today. We have Eric Kroom coming up here this week, as well as Rob Conrad. Rob Long is going to be joining the show. Zach Mahoney will be a part of it. Will Hunter. Very excited to everybody that Dan Conley as well. Everybody's going to be jumping on the air with us and speaking on this year's Syracuse football team. So let's look at this season. We have on the schedule, Darius, this is how the season breaks down for us right now. So they'll be at Liberty this weekend, at Maryland, Clemson, Western Michigan, Holy Cross at home, at NC State, Pitt at home, at Florida State, BC at home, at Duke, at Louisville, and Wake Forest at home. What are your thoughts on wins and losses? Where do you put this Syracuse team? Is it a 5-win team? Is it an 8-win team? What do you feel comfortable about saying?
Man, I would love to say, they're going to go undefeated this year. They're honestly, to me, there isn't a game that I would say is a automatic win just because of how, the game goes. I mean, it can bounce anyway. But I'd say, realistically, I'd say they could win every game. The only one on the schedule that I'm extremely worried about, obviously, is Clemson. And, other than that, I say they would go, they could win every game. And, but the only game on the schedule that honestly I'm worried about is Clemson, especially because it's pretty early in the season. There's still game 3 of the season. You're playing the number 1 team in the country. Game 3, hopefully by game 3, all your mistakes are out of the way. All of your, still trying to figure out who your guys are, your rotations as a coach is out the way. But that's tough to come in game 3 playing the number 1 team in the country, coming off a national championship team who obviously is reloaded for sure. So, to me, that's the game that I'm most worried about for them. But obviously, Clemson and Syracuse game, that's obviously not something that you want to just mark off as a win for Clemson for sure, because of the past history. 2 years in a row, we should have beat them. So I see that being even just as big as a game as it has been in the past 2 years. But if they get past Clemson and they win those first 2 games, I think they could obviously run the table. That's what I think. I really do. And I wouldn't be surprised if they did. And I don't think anybody on that team would be surprised either, just because they've seen how it could be done just a year before. And, they're 1 or 2 plays away from being 11-1. You look back to the Pitt game that they lost. They allowed 76 points. How often is that going to happen? The ball falls one other way. They're 11-1. They look back to the Clemson game. We make that tackle on that 3rd and long on the quarterback. We beat them.
Yeah.
That's it. So that's it. They're 1 or 2 plays away from being undefeated, and I don't see why they can't be undefeated this year.
Yeah, and that's some big words, coming here from Darius Kelly this morning. That you don't see how they couldn't go undefeated, and this is a team that has obviously gotten into a place where it's funny. And for anybody that thinks that it was just last year, it's not. This is something that's been building over time. I told people to give Dino time because what did he say? He said you have to have faith. Belief without evidence. And that's something that I live in every single day. It's something that I appreciate every single day. It's something that I had to live with recently, having faith, belief without evidence, which is one of the hardest things to do, but you have to have it. You have to have belief without evidence, and you have to have faith in what you have out there, because if you don't have that faith, then you really can't accomplish anything. And faith comes with trust, and trust comes with belief. And if you don't have those things at your baseline as your foundation, well, then you're kind of bound to fail. And that's just how it is, because you have to have faith in your teammates. You have to have faith in yourself. It doesn't matter what other people think of Syracuse's team. It matters what Syracuse thinks of themselves. It's great to be ranked in the top 25 in the AP and the coaches poll. It's great to be selected right behind Clemson in the Atlantic Division, and it's great for me to see the media actually value Syracuse now, where I've been saying things for. I remember being a couple years ago, being at the ACC Media Days down in Charlotte, and I was talking about Eric Dungy, and one of the guys that was sitting there, I think we were in Charlotte, we were in Pinehurst or Charlotte, and I'm sitting there, and there's a bunch of people that cover from the North Carolina, South Carolina area. And they said, so is this Dungy guy pretty good? Would you say he's okay? Is there something to watch? And I just remember sitting there going, do you cover college football? Because, Dungy was the guy on the team. He was the heart and soul of the team. The team went as he went. And it was just kind of crazy to me that nobody really did research on Syracuse. It was just voting for the Carolinas and voting for the teams that people are used to seeing in the ACC. And now to see the majority of the media actually sit there and say, yeah, I think that Syracuse is right there behind Clemson in the Atlantic Division. That's where I voted them in, and that's where the majority of the ACC had them voted. And I think that says a lot about what Syracuse is doing. But on top of all of that, Darius, it matters what you do on the field. It doesn't matter where you're ranked. It doesn't matter where you're predicted. So what are your words of advice to a team that is now getting a taste of what it's like to be ranked, to be respected, to have some expectation going into the season? What would be your advice to them?
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, like I said before, you just don't take it for granted last year. You still got to put in the same work. You still got to go out there and perform. I mean, rankings mean absolutely nothing, obviously. Thinking back to when they just knocked off Clemson 2 years ago, they were number one team in the country. Didn't mean a daggone thing. Just take it one game at a time. That's it. They have one goal in mind, and that's to go undefeated. And the only way you can go undefeated is going out and playing Liberty. I mean, that's it. You got to go out and dominate Liberty. You got to go out and dominate every single game every week. But it's 1 week at a time. 1 week at a time. You can't look past any team because that's how you lose. That's exactly how you lose games, is looking past teams. So just take it 1 week at a time. Take it slow and focus on the task at hand and know the end goal. And that's it. 1 week at a time and know the end goal.
To see Syracuse, speaking here with Syracuse football alum Darius Kelly in our week to kickoff, the alumni are joining Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, as they always do throughout the year, but they're joining us in this official week to kickoff in our special every single day piecing Wake Up Call, just connecting each of these shows Monday through Friday as we head into the August 31st season opener on the road for Syracuse at Liberty at 6 p.m. Eastern Time on Saturday, August 31st. I asked this to Rob Carpenter. I would love to know your thoughts on this, Darius. Biggest positive on this year's team, and then biggest question mark. What you would say for each of those?
I'd say the biggest positive, would be that DeVito had a lot of playing time last year. And, with him getting that experience and the opportunity to step on the field is the biggest positive. And you turn that around, the biggest negative is that now that's the biggest question mark, not negative. The biggest question mark would be even going to him again, because now he's the starter. He's the guy. There is no more, I come in and as a relief, I come in and do this. No, you are the guy, and we haven't seen him, start and finish every single game. And to me, that's the biggest question mark. But the positive behind that is that he had a lot of time to play last year, and he was thrown into some big situations in critical moments and had to make plays. So that there alone, to me, it's the biggest positive, but also the biggest question mark, just because now he's the guy. There's no question who the guy is. So.
Right. I mean, there's nobody. I mean, obviously everybody's got a backup, but he's supposed to be the guy. I mean, he's supposed to be. Speaking on Tommy DeVito, there's him. It's no, okay, you got to come in for a series or two because Dungy's coming out, or we want to see what you can do. So, what would be your advice to Tommy DeVito? What would you say to him? I know you gave advice to the team, but as Tommy steps into a starting role, as he takes over this team, he looks like somebody who has no worries in going out and doing what he's got to do. I mean, he came out, and this is probably going to stick with me forever, but he came out last season and on the first play dropped back, set his feet, and threw a 60-plus yard pass down the field. And he doesn't come out cold. He comes out, firing. He comes out hot. He comes out wanting it and going after it right away. This is a guy who seems to have some swagger, confidence. He's obviously he's an Elite 11 quarterback. He's someone who's had experience in the game. He's helped the team win in the past. So what's your advice to him as he takes over in this new role, because now he's the official starter? So what's the advice to Tommy DeVito as he leads the team?
Yeah, I mean, I never really had to play quarterback before, but I do know, the approach to coming in and subbing in for somebody and having to come and be the guy. But to me, that the biggest advice I could give, to my knowledge and just through experience, is just like I said, just take it slow. Things are going to happen. Don't get frustrated, and just focus on the task at hand. I mean, the other team. I'm sure the coaches will have him ready for that, but just take it slow. Take it as slow as possible. Let the game come to you. I mean, obviously, you can bomb the ball down the field 60 yards, not even warming up too much. But just take it slow, get in rhythm, and just be a leader. Just lead those guys. Be a good teammate. Get everyone involved, and just go out there and have fun with it, man. That's the biggest thing. Quarterback, just go out there and have fun. Just look at Dungy every single week, no matter what. He just went out there and had fun. He sacrificed his body and had fun, and I'm sure Dungy and all those guys, have told him that for sure. Just go have fun. It's still a game that you love, and just obviously there's some rules in there that's you throw it in there, and there's some structure to the game. But it's just like going out there, throwing the ball around the backyard. Just go have fun with it.
That coming from Darius Kelly, Syracuse football alum, DB on the team. Darius, before I let you go, I do want to get into your coaching ranks and what you're doing with Catalina. I want to jump into that because you got a new opportunity, a fun opportunity here for you to be the head football coach, for Catalina and for Catalina Foothills High School, and obviously to be in familiar surroundings in Arizona. Just what you're learning as a coach, what you're doing, just bring me into the world of Tucson, Arizona, and all the positives that can come from the new opportunity that you have.
Oh yeah, I mean, like I said before, man, just having the opportunity to work with these guys. I have a team who is really young and not necessarily young in age, but young in experience to football. And it's fun. It's fun to be coaching these guys. I mean, coaching up seniors and coaching up juniors and getting these guys to to understand the ins and outs of the football game and how we want things done. It's fun to see. And one of the things we spoke about yesterday is this is our team. Is growing up together at the same time. I'm a first-year head coach. I mean, there's things that I'm still learning, and there's things that they're still learning. I mean, I have coaches on staff who've, been coaching for 20-plus years and been, played at totally different levels, higher levels, Hall of Fame, O-line coach, and, NFL for 13 years. But every day we're learning something new, and it's just good to see. Even we had the game the other night, we watched the team just grow up together through it all. So we're building something. The guys they're buying into what we're doing, and it was just good to see because I had like maybe 8 guys on the field who hasn't played a down of football go out there and make mistakes, but coming back and watching the film on Saturday, they knew exactly what their mistake was, and that there alone, just giving those guys a chance to get on the field finally, and be able to make plays. I mean, our quarterback, who hasn't really played much at all ever as a high school football player, and he started his first game this week, and I'd say he did fairly well. He was composed. It's just those little things that we definitely got to work on as a unit, but overall, having a young team and having a young coachable team, to me, is the funnest thing because, yeah, they're going to make mistakes, but they're going to learn from the mistakes really fast just because they're coachable.
And for you, to kind of look in the mirror, what are you most excited about, and what are you kind of demanding of yourself? Because, I think it's interesting, and I love asking coaches this all the time is, what's going through your mind? What's, what are you looking for yourself to do? How are you looking to grow? How are you looking to advance? Because we always talk about the players and what the players need to do, but what do you need to do as a coach, and just kind of what you've demanded of yourself as you step into the role?
Yeah, I mean, to me, the biggest thing, like I said, there's a lot of growth that I'm definitely doing. But I demand of myself to really just put these guys in the right position. To hold myself accountable for every call or decision that I make. If I'm going to go with it, I go with it. If it goes right, it's because the players did it. If it goes wrong, it's because I made the wrong call. So that's really, how I want to go about this thing is, shining a light on those guys as much as possible. And, and just being there for them. These are still kids. Being there for them as much as possible. But for sure, holding myself accountable and holding them accountable for everything. And, when we lose, it's on me. When they win, it's because they bought in and they did everything that they could, and for sure. So that's the type of team we have. These guys, they work extremely hard. They never want to disappoint, which is really good to see. And they care about us. They care about everything that they're doing. And I've been around that before, where teams they're kids who just want to do their own thing, but that's not what we have. We have a bunch of guys who want to make us proud of them, and we absolutely are proud of them. But that's their main goal, they want to do well, and they want to be coached, and just to have that, you don't always have that at the high school level, and it's just good to have for sure.
Absolutely, and you having the opportunity to coach them, the opportunity to mold young minds and to be a part of this is something extremely special. And, does it feel full circle for you? Because, you're still a young guy in this world, and, you obviously came up the ranks. You played in high school, you played collegiately, you got to Division I FBS level, and, you obviously tried out for the NFL and got to do some things with that, and then got to be an assistant coach, and now you're a head coach. So you've experienced a lot of different pieces of it. Does it feel like it's come full circle, and do you ever think about how you were as a player when you're looking at these guys?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I made a lot of mistakes as a player. There was things that I thought I saw on the field, and there was reads that I thought I had, and reads on the field that I could have sworn that was the right one to make, and I see it all the time. And, I was a little bit hard-headed at times, but, and sometimes when our guys kind of get that way, I understand exactly why they made a mistake, especially at the DB side of things, why they made that mistake, what their thought process was. And to me, that's why I think having a coach who has played the game and been around the game is to me probably the best coach, because you understand what you see. I mean, one of our coaches, Glenn Parker, he speaks about this all the time. People say the film doesn't lie, but that's not true. The film does lie. I mean, the film is standing on top of you from a standpoint. They're seeing it from a different level. That film doesn't see when you're standing in front of a guy. They don't see that 300-pound guy standing in front of you, and you miss that guy coming around the edge, coming around the quarterback. You can't see that. So the film, to you, the film does lie when it comes to your viewpoint in the field. And that's why being a player, you know that as a player, there's things that you can't see that the film's going to see, that, when the coach is sitting up there, talking about, you should have saw this, but coach, I'm at a different viewpoint than that camera. I don't necessarily see that guy coming around. And that's why being a player, a coach that has played, to me is so much better, because you can relate and you can see the viewpoints that player is seeing. And yeah, so it has come full circle. Just to get back to that answer, it's surreal, and I definitely understand these guys a lot and everything that they go through on a daily basis for sure.
Having some fun here in the week to kick off with Darius Kelly, Syracuse football alum, former DB on the team, as well as the current head football coach for Catalina Foothills off in Arizona. Darius, before I let you go, you know we have to do what we always do, and that is play rapid fire. So I need to put you on the hot seat. You need to put me on the hot seat. So to preface a lot of things, I guess I'll update you a little bit if this helps with anything. I have learned a lot over the last 10 months of my life. There is a lady in my life that I really care about. My dog just turned 3. What else can I say? I just went to Star Wars Galaxy's Edge 15 days before it officially opens at Disney. I have been to Disney 3 times in the last 2 months. And yeah, I'm just trying to catch you up in case you want to ask me any questions. Here's the thing. This is how it is. Like if I was being, if this was like an interrogation, I just gave Darius a bunch of ammo to talk with me about. But I'm just filling you in. I'm letting you know because you were so open and honest about the Wheel of Fortune thing and the lady and all that good stuff. And I know as soon as this show is done, she's going to ask where it's at. So I got to get ready and get it out there onto the archives and whatnot. So I'm opening it up. We're going to ask each other 3 questions apiece before we jump into the ingredients to success that we'll have for you right after this. So, Darius, you and I will finish our week to kick off conversation with rapid fire. Are you ready to play?
Let's do it.
All right, sounds good. So my first question for you is, how many proposal ideas did you go through before choosing that one?
Oof. Honestly, countless. I can't give you a number on that one. I'm going to be real honest with you.
Okay.
There's no number. I would say the minimum probably, I don't know, 15, 20, maybe 20. I don't know. Too many.
Kind of a 1B of this. Did you tell her about any of the other ideas you had?
No, I didn't.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. So we're going to go back and forth, so now you can ask me one. What do you got for me?
Okay. Let's go to how did you and don't know her name meet?
Her name is Kayla. So how did we meet? Okay, so this is actually a good story, and it shows my athleticism. So let me tell this as slowly as possible. So basically, what happened was we were supposed to meet, and through a mutual friend, and then it never happened. So I was doing an event with one of the local high schools at Home Team Pub. Shout out to Home Team, 7990 Oswego Road in Liverpool. Go out and see them. So I was over there, and there was an event at my church. And so I had texted my friend that originally was supposed to introduce us, and I said, hey, I got out of my event. The event was only like an hour or so. Are you guys still there? She said, yeah, come out. So it was just starting to rain, and they were playing cornhole because my church is like very much community-based and bringing everybody together, and it's extremely welcoming and whatnot. So they wanted to, get a bunch of young people involved and play cornhole, and they had food for everybody. So they moved it inside because it had been raining and whatnot. And so I come in, my friend comes over to me and she says, Kayla's here. And I was like, oh, okay. And I had already been through like a bunch of like BS, and I will just say this to you, Darius, the dating world is probably scarier than watching The Bird Box again. So on Netflix, I don't know if you watched The Bird Box, but that was horrifying. So, or watching It, Stephen King's It. So it was pretty crazy out there, and so I was kind of just like fatigued of it. And she said, Kayla's over here, so she brings Kayla over. She introduces us, but doesn't really say much. She just says, Dan, this is Kayla, Kayla's Dan. So they said, all right, we're going to play cornhole. So I got the priest next to me, Father Joe, and Kayla's on the other side with my friend. And so my friend goes, you and I are on a team. Kayla and Father Joe are on a team. So before anything gets started, we're inside. The ceilings are massively high in this church, and we're in like the community area. And I take the cornhole beanbag, and I hadn't played in a while, and I take it and I chuck it overhand, and Kayla is down on the other end. We had just met. The beanbag goes up in the air after I threw it overhand and drops straight down in through the hole right in front of her. And she's like, and her jaw drops, and she's like, "Are you serious?" She's like, "Oh my God." And she's asking, like, "Did anybody else see that?" And I looked up at God and I went, "Thank you." And then, and then we just kind of talked after, and I was myself, and, just, I like making people laugh, as you know. And so she was laughing, and it just kind of meant something to me. And so we had a good night. I said good night. Then I host trivia. She came out to trivia. We hung out there a little bit, talked. I kind of joked around with her. And then for some odd reason, something inside of me said call her. So, there's a thing on Facebook where you can like message call. And I called her and we talked for like 3 hours. And then I went down to Florida for a little self-help vacation. And I didn't want to go with anybody. So I went alone. And, so I was down in Florida, and I was like, I'm not texting her that I landed. I don't text any girl that I land because they don't appreciate it, whatever. And I landed, and I told her I landed. And something inside of me told me to, and she texted me, or she sent me her number on Facebook and was like, here's my number, and there was a little inside joke that we had. So I ended up calling her every day that I was on the trip, which I did not anticipate doing. I came home. She invited me over to the house to meet one of her close friends. So we all hung out, and then after that, like, the rest is history. So it kind of just happened fluidly on its own. It was crazy, but we have so much in common, and it's like stuff in common that's not like your normal stuff. And so one of the coolest things that happened was when I came back from Florida, I went to do trivia, and I'm there with my right-hand guy that's there, and so we're walking up, and she goes, "Hey, I got you a gift." And I was like, "What do you mean?" And she has a Ziploc bag full of lime Tootsie Rolls because our favorite flavor is lime, and nobody likes lime stuff. Like, people always give me lime stuff when they get it. And so she had gone to the store with her mom, and there's an assortment, and she sat there for half an hour and took out all of the green ones to make a bag of just green lime stuff. So there's actually thought in it too, and time in it. So I told her I felt like Mariah Carey, and because Mariah Carey only likes green M&Ms. So, but the difference between me and Mariah is they all taste the same. Like, lime is different. So yeah, I mean, she just kind of went and did things that nobody else does, and it stuck out to me. And now I'm smitten, and I told this entire story and her name on the show. Why, Darius? Because I'm honest, but for some reason I feel very comfortable when I talk with you about this stuff. So you just got me to share that all on the air. So good for you.
Gotcha. That's good stuff, man. Really good.
Yeah, I could sense that, as a friend, that you're listening, and you could probably tell that I care a lot. So
I can tell, no question at all.
Yeah, I'm sure I'll get some text messages from you about this after. So, my second question for you is, what is the single greatest accomplishment that you have had off the field?
Ooh. Single greatest accomplishment. Off the field, I'm gonna go all the way back. I talk about this all the time, especially with my guys. When I go back to my junior college days, and there was I struggled in math coming up.
Yeah.
And now it was college math, whatever it was. And I went to tutoring every single day for about that entire semester. And, obviously it came down to me having to pass the final. I had to get a C in the class. And like I said, it was math worst subject, worse. And like I said, tutoring every single day for, months and months and months, not wanting to go, not wanting to do this, but, sacrifices these things. And when it came down to it that last semester, and I took that math test, and I passed. I mean, I want to say I got a B on the test. Ended up passing the class. I mean, just the struggle I had in that class, and the amount of work and time and sacrifice that I had. And when I got the test score back, I don't think I was, happy, passing that test. So that's exactly what I tell my guys, man. Just put in the work for it, and you'll succeed, and you'll feel the success of it. And that was an accomplishment to me. Passing that one test that I struggled and I put so much work into, and that it finally had come to pass. So yeah, for sure.
Well,
I mean, there's so many more examples, but for whatever reason, just thinking back to me working with the high school kids, and that just came to my mind immediately when you asked that question.
No, and that's awesome, and it's obviously a great story to tell the kids and everything that's going on. So, I mean, and it's a beautiful thing because it means something to you to work hard to get to that point. What is your second question for me?
Repeat that, I'm sorry.
Oh, and I said, what's your second one for me?
Mine for you. Let's see here, man. What is your dream place to visit and why?
My dream place to visit. I would say my dream place to visit. I would say it has to be. There's a few that are on the list now. I would like to go to San Diego to go see my friend, and I heard that it's like perfect weather and utopia. So I like to say San Diego or California. I want to go to Disney out there. I want to go to D23's Expo, which the next one's 2021. I want to go to Spain because I have family there. I want to go to Italy because I have family there. And allegedly now we have family. There was talk that we may have some African blood because our name showed up in Egypt. And then there was talk that it was actually Sudanese. And one of my family members did their Ancestry.com or whatever it is, 23andMe or something like that. And when they did it, I think it was Ancestry, they found out that there is Sudanese blood. So I grew up thinking I was 100% Italian, and I'm actually Italian, Hispanic, and African. And so I would love to go see where my family came from. And I don't know about the Sudan. I have to look into that part. But as far as Italy and Spain, I believe there's still family in Italy. There is family in Spain. And the cool thing about Sudan is that I found this out through hosting trivia. There is no other place in Africa that has more pyramids, including Egypt, than the Sudan. The Sudan has more than 200 pyramids, which is more than double Egypt. So I just think that's kind of cool. And I never once thought that, that I would be connected to anything in the Sudan. So I just think it's kind of interesting. So I would like to kind of retrace my roots is what I'm saying.
Gotcha.
I think it would be fun. So, and I have no idea what Sudanese food is, so I'm going to have to look into that. No idea. So, I know Italian food, I know Spanish food, but I was like, what do they eat in the Sudan? So, okay, that's something to look at. My final question for you, Darius, is what animal best describes who you are as a person?
Oof. Let's see. Animal. I would have to go with an eagle.
Okay.
Eagle. That's what I'm going to go with. Obviously, I mean, they see everything. They sit on top of the mountain. They observe a whole lot. And, that's just who I am, And the eagle, I would say, is a leader amongst those birds, leader amongst in their species, and, sit out and observe and lead through an example, and sit on top of the mountain and just look down and figure out, what the next move is, and strategically, attack and strategically, go out and execute whatever it is that they're trying to do, whether it is to feed their family, whether it is to, just get through whatever it is they need to get to. And they're very strategic in what they do, and they're leaders amongst what they're doing. So I would say the eagle best describes me as a person.
Well, that is a truly awesome, thoughtful answer. and I appreciate it. Your last one for me, Darius. What is it?
My last one's for you.
Yes, sir.
Let's see. The end goal with your radio show, what are you trying to accomplish? I know you've already accomplished a lot. Where do you want to be in the next, 5 years with your show? How big do you want it to be? Where do you want it to be heard and seen?
So I would say, my end goal of my radio show, I would say that it would have to, we do video now, we do audio. I've been doing it for just about 17 years. When I turned 34 on October 21st, right after that, I will officially be a 17-year broadcaster, which means that I will have broadcasted as long as I will have broadcast for as many years as I hadn't growing up, and so from here on out in my life, I will have broadcasted more years than not, and it's pretty amazing. So I would say, for me, I want the DTBM network. This started with a sports show, started with the Dan Tortora show, and we were at ESPN 630, 1240, and 96.1 FM in Scranton. Then we came to ESPN here 1260 when it was 1260, then 1080 The Team down in Orlando, then back here with The Score, and then working for Fox and all that other stuff. And for me, I've gotten to do a lot of different things, and I really appreciate it. And owning the company turned 7 in July. So, I would love the DTBM network to be a reality. I would love for it to be an app. I would love for it to be streaming. We already stream video and audio, and we do it with Dan on Disney. We do it with Super Powered Pop. So, the network is really to be everything. We have Wake Up Call, which it all started with the Dan Tortora show. Then it became Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, and it's a sports show. Super Powered Pop is an entertainment show. Dan on Disney is a Disney show, and we do Disney consulting. We MC events. We do all this stuff live and on location. And Florida's become a second home of what I do. My name and my company is now known throughout the country and outside of the country because of the work that we do and the connections that we've made. So, for me, I would love for somebody to have the DTBM network, a variety piece, that you can go and log in or get a bunch of different ones and, come to us for your information on a lot of different pieces. I love interviewing. I love talking with people. So, being having a late night talk show host type of approach with that too would be cool. And there's other things I've set my sights on. I've acted before. I would love to act. I would love to screenwrite. I'd love for Sony to give me their entire Spider-Man universe and let me run with that. I would love to do some things musically and lyrically, and I've been asked my whole life to get on the stage and do stand-up comedy, and because I love making people laugh and it's fun, and people are always saying, why don't you do it? So I think to answer your question of where do I think I'm going, I think I'm going wherever I want to go. I think I'm going where God leads me, and I think that everything that I've done has a connection of integrity, honesty, comedy, humility, networking, bringing people together, a place where people can feel safe, not judged, where faith is key. So, I think that what connects everything that I do is the right stuff, which makes me believe that it's all going to work out because it has, and I know that it will. And so, I honestly I have a lot of ideas, Darius, and I don't think I'm going to stop. I think you're going to see me in movie theaters. I think you're going to I'm going to tell you I'm coming out to Tucson, for my stand-up tour. I'm going to keep doing my shows. I'm, going to keep, kicking butt with all that stuff. And hopefully one day I could, release an album. If for nothing else, I'd love to release one album in honor of my mother. And I told her, I said, I just want to sing with you once for the world to hear. So there's a lot of things that I'm working on, and none of them are off the table. So I guess that's how I answer your question.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
So, yeah, that's where we're sitting at, Darius. There's a lot to be had. So with that being said, We'll let you go for the day, Mr. Darius Kelly, as you get set for the season at Catalina Foothills, and obviously we'll be talking with you soon and keeping in touch with you. But thank you for being a part of the show today and being a part of a week to kickoff. Thank you for your thoughtful questions, and as always, more than anything, thank you for your friendship, man.
Absolutely, always, Dan.
All right, well, I look forward to talking with you soon, and I will always look at Wheel of Fortune in a more special way now.
Much appreciated.
All right, man. I'll talk to you soon. Say hello to the lady and the family, okay?
All right, you as well.